So this is the self-development with tactics. Book.
So, this episode is actually going to be about the 10 top earning musicians from this decade, and I've actually found a Forbes list, and this is the reason why I'm actually going through this. I found a list with these people, and we're going to go straight into it after the intro. As always, because it's amazing. And it is actually the third time I'm actually starting this fucking video, because he's always screaming like, oh, please change your settings because I can't handle the fucking power. And yeah, and this is also the reason why you're just seeing this video as a 720p video and it is not 1080 as it normally is. And I'm very sorry about that, but I might have to do this from now on. I might just, play around it a little bit to see what is working best. But yeah, if you're just having a look in the description, or in the show notes if you're on the podcast, and there should be a link to a playlist, and this playlist is consisting of a few different background sounds. So if you want to have a background sound or background music for this particular episode, then please check out the links in the description and just choose one of the, I think it's 5 different tracks that I've just put together and whatnot. And so if you want to just have some background noise, please do it. And if you do not want to have some background noise, just please don't turn it on, basically, because I do just want to have still the post-production capabilities that I just want to have for the videos. I do not want to destroy my video with some background music. So if you want to have it, please just turn it on or just turn on your own music. You could also be doing it like that. But yeah, and there should also be some notes in the description, so a PDF with all the notes from this video, which should give you something to read. If you want to go and download it, it is also for free. Everything is for fucking free. Please go and download it. But I think for this episodes, there's not going to be any notes or something. But I don't know. It could be. Maybe I'm adding something to it. We're gonna see. But yeah, as you can see on the left side of the screen, and I do hope nothing is distorted and nothing is fucked up. I actually kind of think that it is gonna be actually better quality since it's a little bit smaller and whatnot. But we are gonna see. So from Taylor Swift to Dr. Dre, the 10 top earning musicians of the decade. And you can actually also listen to this article. If you want to listen to this article, please also head down in the description and check out the original article. So Dr. Dre hasn't released an album since 2015, which is actually quite insane, to be honest. And he hasn't gone on tour since the turn of the millennium. His last production credit on #1 hit was in 2009 when he worked the boards on Eminem's, Crack a Bottle. But the hip-hop super producer still topped all other musician stars in earnings this decade, pulling an estimated $950 million thanks mostly to his roughly 20% stake in Beats, the bass-heavy headphone maker Apple bought for $3 billion in 2013, which is actually quite cool, that he got that money just because of his investing thing, which is, by the way, often something that you can see. For example, Gary Vee. For example, Tim Ferriss. For example, Warren Buffett. I think it's kind of the best example there. Those 3 guys, or no 3, it's not been 4, I guess, 3 guys. Those 3 guys have made all their money by investing, and I do not want to say that it is easy just because you need some money to invest in, which is going to involve some fucking saving, which is exactly what Gary Vee did. He just saved a lot of money, and then with this money he invested into Uber and Facebook and Twitter, and now he's quite rich. And I would argue that we all can do something like that, to just invest into companies we're believing in, even though I really have to say it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like, okay, I'm just giving my 100K to just this person, that person, and then that's going to be it. No, not really. You should actually know the industry, and you should also know the company, and especially also the leader and or the CEO and or the founders or founder of the company, because I don't know if you should be investing into something that you are not really educated in, and you do not know the founders and whatnot. It's not going to be a good idea, and it's not going to be a good thing to do something like that. So I do not really suggest doing something like this. But on the other hand, it is a simple concept, but it is not easy, as so many things. It is insane. So many things are so simple, but they all are not easy. And it is the exact same thing with investing. You also just need to have the opportunity, because I think in terms of Facebook, Gary was in a conversation with Mark Zuckerberg's parents, and kind of just this was the deal then. And it is, you maybe also need some connections, but of course the money. And in the end, you also need a lot of patience, because the company that you're investing in is probably not going to make you just double the amount of money back in a year. It might take 2 years, it might take a decade, it might take 2 decades, it might take just 50 fucking years, which is something that we just don't know beforehand. So investing is simple, but it is definitely not easy. And it is also, as I'm just thinking about it, it must also be a little bit like a fearful thing to do. You're just saving your money for decades, and then you're spending it, maybe everything, maybe just a part of it, on something that you do not really know if it is gonna be something in the end, or if it is going to make you some money back in the end. You don't know. It's basically like a bet. You're betting on these people, you're betting on the founders, and you're betting also on the concept and or also on the company itself. But we don't know if it is going to turn out pretty good for us. Maybe we're going to lose all our money. Maybe the stocks are going to go down. We don't know. It's just, we don't fucking know. It is what it is. We don't know. And of course, you can also just invest into other things and not only in companies. And it's like a very, very, very big topic, I would say, but also a very sometimes complicated, sometimes not. But yeah. But let's actually have a look at the ranking. Number 10 is Lady Gaga with 500 million. Despite some pauses to pursue film and TV projects, Gaga's live music prowess and widely successful albums landed her on our list with 500 million in a decade. Is a decade 10 years, isn't it? So, well, yeah. What's 500 divided? Which is a fucking 50 million a fucking year, isn't it? Or I'm just a dumb motherfucker right now, but I don't know. 500 million, it's like, this is insane. Katy Perry, 530. And what I'm seeing there is that they all are pretty close to each other. They really are, like Lady Gaga, 500 million, Katy Perry, 530. Like, in comparison, it is just very, very close. If you're just thinking about the numbers, it is not really that close. It is really like still insane. If you just think about 30 million more than Lady Gaga did in terms of Katy Perry, it is just a fucking lot of money more. A fucking lot of money that they probably do not know how to spend, I guess. But I don't know. It would actually be quite interesting to see whether they know what to spend their money on, and I do assume that most often these people that are having a lot of money are also just are responsible in terms of just also saving something and all those things. So I at least hope, I think it's more or less like a hope rather than actually knowing it. But I'm actually hoping that they're doing something like that. But 530 million is just something. Then Paul McCartney with 535 million. And then something that was really interesting for me is Jay-Z with 560, which is not that much if you just think about it. But Jay-Z is actually the first billionaire, rap billionaire, which is also pretty interesting. I think he was just really close before, I think it's called Daddy or something. But I'm not quite sure. I really am fucking not. Music's first billionaire, or it's actually music's. It's not about rap, but it is music's first billionaire made his fortune by building companies, but the last 10 years of touring recently with Beyonce sure didn't hurt. Yeah, I would say so as well, because 560 fucking million is quite something in 10 years. The question now is it just everything that he got, or is it just like revenue? He made 560 million in revenue and just like, maybe I actually should read the text before. But I don't quite want to. This is the problem. But I don't think that they're actually making 560 in a decade, even though it could actually be the case. I don't know. Like, it could not. I don't know. Never mind. Elton John with 565. Diddy, yeah, okay, this was whom I was referring to, Diddy. He has had more name changes than anyone on the list, but his earnings remained strong thanks mostly to his Ciroc vodka pact with Diageo, or Diageo, whatever. U2, the group's 362 wrapped in 2011, grossing over 700 million. Its inflation adjusted, which is then now 800 million plus tour tally, is the highest ever. Beyonce 685. I mean, like, let's think about Beyonce's and Jay-Z's net worth together. Like, it is fucking insane how much money they just have, probably. The second one is Taylor Swift with 825. Not old enough to buy a beer at the decade's outset, Swift became a stadium-packing superstar and music's highest-paid woman of the 2010s. It's just actually, as I'm just thinking about it, it is quite insane that now the 2010s ended. They just ended. They are gone forever, and I've been a part of it. And this is kind of the hugest part about it, because it's actually the first decade. So 2020 is the first decade that I'm starting with, because I was born in 2001, which makes me 18 years old, which leads to, I haven't been on the start of a decade yet, but this next decade is going to be the start of it, which is insane. It really is fucking insane and really cool as well. And I do hope that it is going to be an interesting decade, maybe in negative senses or in negative ways, but also hopefully in positive ways. And number one with Dr. Dre, 950 million. The super producer released one album this decade, blah, 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 we've already read it. But his deal with Apple or actually with Beats, and Apple buying Beats for 3 billion, which by the way is something, in terms of the budget that Apple is having, it's like, maybe, like it's still going to be something, but it's not going to be that fucking much. But yeah, pretty interesting, pretty interesting what they did. The only problem that I'm seeing there is, and this is also one of the reasons why I'm actually willing to go through it, is that we are only seeing the results. We are only seeing the results, which is numbers, which is like, okay, they made so much money and this person made even more money. And it's like, okay, they made a fucking billion by just going around singing and basically doing nothing, right? No, not really. I think it's also the exact same thing with all the YouTubers and all the people that are just producing content online. That most often, I do not want to only blame elderly people, but in general, often people think like, well, they're doing nothing all day long and they just play video games and it is just so easy and I could do it as well and whatsoever. The thing is, yeah, you could. It's in general is pretty simple. Especially if we're talking about YouTube now, it is really a fucking simple concept. The problem now is, are you willing to play just 8 hours of video games each day, record that, upload that, just care about your community if you're actually having a community? Because this is also something that you have to be fucking building. And this takes fucking time. And I know what I'm fucking talking about because I've been doing it for more than a year now. And I haven't achieved anything yet, which might lead me to changing some things up, I guess, But we're going to talk about that maybe later on, maybe in another episode. But it is not that easy as it sounds and as it seems to be, building a community and actually, first of all, getting found by people, then getting liked by people, and then just building a tribe and being a leader for a tribe. All those things, it is not easy and it takes time. And it is actually not really sure if everyone on this planet is able to do something like that. Nor if they just want to do that, but this is a completely different thing because it involves a lot of fucking work. And I've been actually listening to an interview with Seth Godin yesterday, which was probably been a really interesting one. It really is. I might be linking it down in the description or might not. It just depends. But I think, yeah, maybe. I hope I'm remembering myself on that. But he was talking to a guy and it's actually been with the Forbes magazine. No, with the Founders magazine. And he was talking about the work that he's doing. And the only thing that he said he sacrificed, or was it about the hardest thing that he has to do? Well, the point was that he always is having some work. He could always work all the fucking time. 24/7. He could, but he's just choosing to not do that, And this is kind of the problem of just having a tribe, being somebody online, just having a community and all those things. You could be doing something all the fucking time. There's no end to it. There really is not. And you have to put out something each and every single day. It's not going to be about just some holidays. It's not going to be about some Christmas holidays or whatnot. It's not going to be that. It's not going to work out quite. You have to do something every single day. If you just want to stay on top of your shit and if you want to stay on top of your just whatever you're doing, it is like, I would say it's on one hand, it is a quote unquote bad thing. And on the other hand, it is a pretty good thing because you're somehow forced to do something every single day, which just leads you to getting better and better and better and better each and every fucking day, which is especially something that I've seen as well. By designing something, by talking about something every single day, I've just gotten better, way fucking better. I wouldn't have been able to just speak in such a way English. Well, when you're just willing to show off something and just doesn't work out, it is this moment. No, but I think I wouldn't have been able to just speak English in such a way if I wouldn't have started with the podcast. I would really say so. Because by talking, I'm just learning a fucking lot. And by going through such lists and just all the articles that I went through in this year, it is insane what I've been able to learn. Like there's a lot of upsides that you're having. If you create the framework for yourself of the upsides, of course, I could also create a framework for myself where I'm not learning anything. and I'm not contributing of something whatsoever. I can, but I've chosen to just do it in a different way, so that I'm, even if it doesn't work out, and I just actually have a look at it on what I'm gonna change. But even if it doesn't work out in the end, I still have learned a fucking lot, and I've developed certain skills, and I still just developed, me as a person. I really did, I've just actually been a completely different person before I've just done the podcast, and I've transformed, which is amazing, which is really fucking amazing. But I think let's actually go through a bunch of Reddit questions. I'm actually willing to do that. So now we are here on the Reddit. I'm not going to link the Reddit. No, I can link down this Reddit. You're probably not going to see the exact same questions as I'm seeing. Kind of obviously, kind of not obviously, it depends. But we're still going to see if there's something amazing, if there's something to just talk about which is valuable to you, to me, to this person especially as well. But yeah, does anyone else cry really easily? First of all, Merry Christmas. Secondly, I've noticed that while music can impact my emotions, it really does. And this is actually one of the reasons why I'm often talking about music being something that goes directly into your fucking subconscious mind, which can fuck up quite a lot of things. Which is the problem then, because if you're listening to a lot of negative music, of course you're going to be more negative. And if you're listening to a lot of positive music, of course, you're going to be more fucking positive. It does actually make sense. The things that we are consuming, the people that we are surrounding ourselves with, they all are influencing us and they all are impacting us. So, I don't know. I do not know if I would actually just see a difference or just notice a difference if I would be actually just listening to a bunch of negative music all day fucking long, if this would actually kind of change something for me. But actually be a pretty interesting just experiment to do. But nevertheless, let's move on. Music can impact my emotions more than anything. Being around the family at Christmas sometimes make me want to well up with tears. I hold it back and snap out of it, not wanting to make the family uncomfortable. But yeah, I cry easily and experience deep emotion. It's nice, but can be kind of painful, to be honest. I think it is just, I do know people that are also having that. And I think it is totally fine unless it is actually bothering you in some kind of way. But it's not going to be like, it might just show that there's something beneath your skin kind of, and just really deeply in your subconscious mind that maybe makes you very emotional and maybe makes you very sad. If it is only about being just sad and or crying itself, because I'm not quite sure if this is also about being happy, so that you're also easily just being happy, if it is kind of just balanced, or if it is not, this is not a question. But I would say it is nothing that bad, it is just something that you need to be able to cope with, and that you need to be able to just maybe work around if it is boring you, and just actually do something against that if it is heavily something that you do not really enjoy. And maybe then just getting therapy and just being in therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy might actually change. I think it is actually one of these stories that we are telling ourselves, that, okay, I have to cry now. Even though it is not something that's very conscious, it is something that's very fucking unconscious, something that we are telling ourselves subconsciously. That we have to cry in certain situations, that we have to cry in this place, in that place. I think it is just some kind of a habit as well. Or it can be a habit as well. It always depends. It really always depends. Stuck in the same routine and the fear of change. This is a pretty vulnerable subject for me, but I have become stuck in the same routine due to the fear of change. This routine consists of doing the exact same things every time I leave the house. Example, turning on and off the lights like 4 times for good vibes, if you would. I know more than anyone how crazy this sounds, and I know it is irrational, but what's the worst thing is that I don't know how to overcome these habits or fears. It almost an impulse. Along with these stupid habits, I fear any change, like moving things around in my room or the house. It's literally the most ridiculous thing, and when I do make change, I get pretty bad anxiety, but it usually goes away within a couple of hours. I go to counseling, get hypnosis and Reiki done, but still have no idea to move past this phase of my life. I think it has also something to do with the other thing that I've just been talking about, which is the story that we all are telling ourselves, the things that we are telling ourselves, which is like subconscious, as I said, and I think it is probably also one of these things. In terms of habits, since I've actually gone through a fucking lot of different articles on habits, it is fucking insane. I would actually say that if you're having a habit, it's basically going to be a chain of different habits. You're going to turn on the lights just 5 fucking times on and off, then you're going to do something else, then you're going to do something else, then you're going to do something else. So it's basically like a chain reaction. The thing is, if you're just doing the first thing differently, then you're probably going to fuck up the whole chain. You know, if you're not just turning on the lights, if you're forcing yourself to not turn the lights on and off all the fucking time, or like, as I'm just thinking about it, if it is always the exact same thing, you know, you're turning on and off the lights 5 times, then you're doing something else, and then you're doing something else. What happens, for example, if you just put something onto the lights that is very, very fucking sticky and disgusting, which leads you to washing your hands afterwards? Is this also a way to just break the chain of habits? Is this also a way to just disturb yourself from actually doing the next thing? Or is it going to just be like, you're going to delay the next thing, you know, the next part of the chain? But I really believe if you're just fucking up the chain in the very top or in the very root, if you're willing, then it would actually just help. You know, it would actually destroy the fucking habit chain as it is. Also in terms of, I think then actually changing up some things in your room if you do not really want to have that change. And I'm also such a person, I don't like change that much. But I'm sometimes forcing myself to do things in a different way then, which often just turns out to be pretty good in the end. I know, because, you know, unless it is actually something that's proven, you know, and why would you change something that's proven unless there is some reason that it could also be better? But I don't know, like it could, it really could, you know, it really could be better if you're changing things up. So trying it out and actually going through these hard times might actually be quite a good thing, I would say. But yeah, this is going to be the end of the episode, I guess, you know. I'm going to see you the next time. I at least hope, and I hope it is not disturbing that it is now 720p and it is fucked up, but yeah, I know, and it's probably also gonna actually be, I think, not such a huge file then, but I'm gonna see. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're gonna remind yourself that you're gonna be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which basically means just going to be a nice person and also gonna be remembered as a nice person. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is boring the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. Please consider subscribing. It would mean the fucking world to me. And so to the podcast and the YouTube channel. And just like and rate. I would appreciate that. But I'm going to see you the next time. I at least fucking hope. I really do. See you.